In this week's Torah portion, Toledot, we have what is called by some Torah scholars a recurring motif. A motif in a story is a structure that's been used before, but that can be improved upon and used in different ways. We have in this week's story an obscure little bit about Isaac and Rebekah, who were suffering from a famine in the Promised Land and needed to go somewhere else to be rescued from it. This is not the first time we've seen this. This is the third recurring motif. This is the third time we've seen this story used over and over again in the book of Genesis. Each one of them is a little bit different, though. The first time Abraham and Sarah reached the Promised Land after being told to leave Abraham's father's home and to go to the place that God will show them. And upon arriving in the Promised Land, they suffer from a famine and have to go down to Egypt. Of all places, they go to Egypt. The second time, this same thing happens. Abraham and Sarah don't go down to Egypt. They go just a little bit south into the Negev, where they are able to find food and sustenance. And this time, as the motif recurs again, Isaac and Rebekah are told to go to Gerar, which is not quite as far south as Abraham and Sarah had journeyed during their second story, but it's a little bit south so that they can find sustenance there. So the question remains, why do the writers of the Torah include three versions of the same story, or three iterations of the same motif? As we can see when we study them closely, each one improves upon the version beforehand. There's a little bit less lying each time. There's a little bit less having to leave the Promised Land. And in this final story, Isaac is instructed to stay put, not to go far from the Promised Land, because it is there that he will understand the blessings that will be bestowed upon him. The lesson for us today is that when we make mistakes, if we improve a little bit each time, we will know blessings in our own lives.